Hi everyone, so welcome to today's video. Today we're discussing the product fails of 2023. Unfortunately, I have a handful of products that just didn't work out for me throughout the year. This whole year and every year I test out lots of products that I purchase myself from high-end to drugstore brands and everything in between. Anything that sort of appeals to me and draws me in, I will definitely try it and share with you my thoughts on camera. And I'm always very honest and open about the products, where I shop for my products, what worked, what didn't work, and I try to share with you the absolute best products. But sometimes it doesn't always end up in a positive experience, and that's unfortunate because I do spend my own money on these products, and it's just sad to look down at my pile and see the handful of products that just didn't work out. Some of them are affordable and some of them are very, very expensive. They just completely didn't work for me. So before we get into the products, I just want to say that if these products are your favorites, please don't take my opinions offensive. Just continue using and loving the product. But what works for you may not work for me, and vice versa. I may love something and you try it and it just doesn't work out for you. But that is part of the journey of trying products and being here on YouTube and being a content creator. Is sometimes we have really great gems and then sometimes it just doesn't work out. Even though there's a lot of hype around a product, it just doesn't work out for my own personal preferences. And I have definitely a good mix of high-end and low-end here, but I think we're just going to start off with the more affordable brands, the drugstore brands, and then we'll move into the more expensive high-end brands. So let's ease on into this video of not so great things with the Milani Eyeshadow Primer. This is a primer that I picked up for my drugstore videos, and I will continue to use this primer for those types of videos, but it's just not my favorite. I feel like the texture is just a little too oily, and every time I go to squeeze this tube out, I actually get a kind of oily, clear liquid that comes out before the formula itself comes out of the tube, and I just don't really like the fact that it kind of separates. But this is the only primer that I have found from the drugstore. I'm not familiar with any other brands that have a primer that I can pick up at Target, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens. I can look online to see if I can find another brand that has one, but I just keep using this only for my drugstore videos, because when I do full face drugstore videos, I really try to do everything start to finish drugstore only. I don't like to implement anything high-end or more expensive or out of that drugstore price range, because then I don't feel like it's keeping up with the true full face of drugstore, if that makes sense. So I will continue to use it, but I just don't like the oily texture. It does help with creasing sometimes, but there are times, depending on if I use cream shadows over this, or if I use maybe an eyeshadow that has like a cream to matte formula, I do notice that I get some creasing with this. It's not so bad with powders, so it's not a total like product fail. I just don't really like the texture. Next up from the drugstore category is the Milani Anti-Gravity Mascara. I bought this at the same time that I ordered the Milani primer, and I had high hopes for this because it has good ratings on their website, and if you just Google this brand or this name of mascara, it comes up with some pretty decent ratings. I just didn't like the formula. I feel like it didn't really give me a lot of length, a lot of thickness. It didn't volumize my lashes in the way I had hoped, or what I thought I was going to get based off of what I read online. It does have a kind of plasticky brush wand applicator that does feel a little bit rough when you get really close to the root of your lashes and you sort of wiggle it. You do feel the little spiky ends of this wand kind of poking you, and that just kind of feels a little bit uncomfortable. But besides that, I can't really say that that's part of what is wrong with the product, because I can definitely be a more gentle with it. I don't like the formula because I feel like it's too wet. The brush has like an hourglass shape where it kind of comes in the center, and you can see that there, and it is quite large of an applicator, but I do feel like the sides that kind of come out where the center kind of recedes in a little bit, I feel like that comes out so wide that I do sometimes get it in the inner corner, or if I'm getting the lower lashes, I do end up smudging. It wears fine. I don't feel like it's a big deal as far as flaking or smudging. I just wish that I could get more thickness, more just better looking lashes, and it just doesn't deliver that for me, unfortunately. Next up for the drugstore brands is the NYX. This is the Bear With Me Blur Foundation Skin Tint. Blurring Tint Foundation is what it's called. Looks like that. Here's a look at the packaging. I ordered mine off of the website in shade number 02 Fair. I am pretty fair. So I thought that this fair tone was going to be fine. As far as the undertone, I think it's okay. You can see that it looks a little bit more golden and more yellow based, which I would prefer that over a cool tone, which leans more pink. However, my issue with the foundations at the drugstore, and this is just overall, every time I go to match myself online or in store, I always get it wrong. I have rarely, if ever, walked out of a drugstore with a foundation that was a perfect match. I just can't seem to get on board with these undertones, the descriptions, especially online, their photos. I just can't get on board with it. I don't understand why it's so hard, because I can go to the Sephora site or Ulta and look at high-end foundations or a specific brand's website, and I can pretty much kind of narrow it down to a pretty close match where it's very doable. So the tone was wrong. The shade is completely off. This says medium coverage with a matte blurred finish. This actually was something that sat on the skin. It didn't blend with the skin. It literally magnified every pore, every bit of texture, dryness, everything that was just imperfections on my skin. This sort of brought that even further to the surface, and you could see that. That was the only thing that I could focus on, was the fact that, man, I have some really large pores. Man, I have some dryness, some flakes. Just, it looked really, really bad, and I just don't get it. I don't understand. And this was so bad that that same day I took it off and started over. And I rarely ever do that. If it doesn't work out, I try to see what I could do to make it work, because I need to get on with my day, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have the opportunity to remove red products, start over, and if it doesn't work out again, continue to start over. I just can't. I sit down to do my makeup, or I go upstairs in my bathroom, and I gotta get it done. And this is just something that I cannot use anymore. I will not try this again, and I won't even try to waste my time making it work. And I don't want to sound so harsh and so critical, but I just feel like this was just a bad dad. It really is. No. So moving into some of the more higher end products that you can purchase at Sephora. That's usually where I buy the majority. I would say 95% of my high-end products come from Sephora. So I'm going to start with the mascaras. The first one is the Makeup Forever. It's the two-step mascara where you get a thinner wand on one side to create the lift, and then you get a thicker side to give you the volume. I like the thin side, which I will show you. This is actually from my empties because I did use it up. The step one has a small little brush, which I think is really great for highlighting the lower lashes and just really getting in there. It's good in theory to get every single lash coated once first, and that's kind of the idea with it. You use that thinner side first, and then you go to step two, which is just a more traditional kind of fuller sized brush, and it is very densely packed with a lot of little bristles there. The thing that I don't like about this is the formula was a little bit more wet than I prefer. It did dry out just a little bit as it was sitting in my drawer, but I was still feeling like I wanted to get more from this. I still felt like I needed to continue building it. I feel the whole two-step system just was more time consuming than I wanted it personally, just for me and just my own needs. I just feel like having to do two different things, two different applicators, just really made it more of a fussy type of product. But then again, at the end of it, I just didn't feel like I had the absolute best. If I had to compare this to, let's say, the Tarte Tubing Mascara, this is not as good as that. Or the Tower 28 Make Waves Mascara that I have been using every day nonstop for 2 months straight. Doesn't compare to that. This is just not as good as those. I didn't get what I wanted out of this, and that's why it's a fail for this year. Also, another fail and another mascara is the One Size Fantasize mascara. I bought this in a set. Came this with the liquid liner for a really great price. I think it's affordable even if you just bought the mascara. It's not like the worst mascara by any means. I just didn't like the way it made my lashes look. I feel like, again, it was one of those where if I got too close to the root of my lashes, like my waterline, I could feel it really scratching. Kind of uncomfortable. The wand is your traditional kind of size. It's not overly exaggerated and big. It's not too thin. I feel like it's a good size where I could get every single lash, not make any smudging mistakes, but I just didn't get the wow factor from it. I just didn't see, you know, it has good ratings, and I just didn't feel like it was the best. Like, it's not terrible. Like, if you try it, you may like it. I just don't feel like I would buy this again, and I don't think that I would recommend it. Next up is an eyeliner. This is the Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes eyeliner. This is a matte formula. It's nice and rich and like a matte black, which I like. So those are the positives. I like the style. It's like a pen. I think it's inspired by a calligraphy pen, honestly. I think I read that on their website or somewhere online where I read that that was kind of like the inspiration with this eyeliner product, component, and idea. I don't really care for the applicator. The formula is nice. It's rich and black. It's that pitch black that I like. But I don't know if mine is sort of defective, but when I'm going to show you an up close shot, and I'm going to try to see if I can get this to show up. It has a brush applicator, but at the very tip, it's almost like these really fine, almost frayed edges to where it makes it difficult to get a smooth, even line. They go straight across my lash line. So hopefully I can get my camera to focus. You see the very tip of my eyeliner? Do you see that? So I have tried to pick that off or kind of like sandwich it in between like a tissue or paper towel, and that remains there. So I think the applicator is supposed to go down to a very almost like a thin like little hair point, right? So I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be. It may be so. But that little frayed bit, the very tip of this, gets in the way. So when I'm trying to get really close to the root of my lashes and get a really thin line in the start, like by the inner tear duct area, these little frayed edges start touching like the actual skin on my lid, and it leaves a sort of a mark of formula. And then when I go back to sort of draw and just kind of shape the line, because this actually does not give me a very smooth line to begin with. It is one that I have to be more careful and just take my time. It's kind of like I hold my breath and I try to draw on, and then it comes out kind of wavy a little bit. I don't know. This is just not working out for me. It just didn't. So we're going to go back into that Rare Beauty brand, and we're going to talk about their lip oils, okay? I bought these two shades when it was early access at Sephora. So Rouge members were able to shop this first before anybody else. And I thought a tinted lip oil that's all the buzz, all the hype on TikTok, social media, it's everywhere. It's selling out, the Dior lip oils. This is their version of that trend, and everything about it sounds great. So sign me up, right? I was on there. I ordered two shades. So I have shade Hope, which is more pink, and then Happy, which is a little bit more of like a corally pinky rose shade. These are the tinted lip oils. So I don't feel like these are like a traditional lip oil. They go on feeling more thin and more water-like, which is not a bad thing. But the formula, when I apply this, the first thing that it sort of resonates with me is the fact that it feels more of like a lip stain. That very thin, kind of water-like texture and feel. It feels really nice going on. It's not heavy. It's not a bad product as far as how it goes on. Now, it has that traditional sort of doe foot applicator, which I think is probably the best way to sort of apply this product. And I will swatch some of these for you. So that is the shade called Hope, which is such a beautiful pink color, okay? I like the packaging. It almost looks like a larger size of their liquid blushes, which are incredible. If you haven't tried those, I would encourage you to do so. And then here is the other pink shade, which is called Happy. It's more of a brighter pink with just a hint of a coral kind of vibe to it. Do you see that? So what I like about these, let's talk about the positives. The only thing I like about this is that when it fades, it does leave a little bit of a staining effect, okay? So that's where the positive ends for me. Now the formula, I'm not sure what's in this formula, but every time I use these lip oils, my lips end up feeling very dry, rough. They feel beyond chapped. Like if I smile too intensely and too much, I feel like my lips are gonna crack. Like that's the severity of the condition of my lips after I apply these, and it's every single time. No matter what I do with this, it ruins the texture of my lips, and it's usually right in the very center where my Cupid's bow is, and then it's rough for about 2 to 3 days until my lips start to kind of go back to their natural baseline of being kind of dry, but not rough and like cracked. This feels almost like a cracked kind of sensation on my lips, and then it just feels rough, almost like not necessarily a rash, but it's just a reaction that my lips have every time I use this. So I don't wear them. Now I could be the only one that has that experience. I'm not sure who else has that same experience. So if you've tried these, share with me what you think about them, whether it's positive or negative. I'd like to hear from you because I'm kind of curious about that. I really am. So let's go into Makeup Forever. I ordered a few things a while back. One of the products that I ordered was this HD Skin Palette. So it has some cream products that are kind of highlights, blushes, concealers, bronzers. This is very much a kind of makeup artisty kind of product, right? That doesn't mean that the everyday consumer can't use something like this. You have some lighter shades you can mix to create your own custom foundation. You can use some of these shades to contour. You can use these for blush, eyeshadow. There's a highlight. There's some kind of peachy and yellow kind of corrector type shades in here. So the theory of this is great. I just have not used this really enough. There is 2 or 3 shades that I actually have not used out of this palette, but the ones that I've used are the blushes, this highlight shade, this lighter shade here, the peach corrector, the foundation-y type shades, and I just feel like the formula is a little too emollient for my preference. I get that there is a very sort of creamy texture to this because it is a cream formula. So it's going to be a lot thicker and more emollient feeling than, let's say, a liquid foundation. So I already knew that going into that. But I just felt like this was going to be, or I thought it was going to be something that could streamline my process of getting ready. I had purchased this with the thought that after having a baby, I was going to be able to just use this and kind of get everything done in one easy, compact, takes up hardly any space in my makeup drawer upstairs. But I just don't like the finish of these products. I do feel like they're quite dewy. So I feel like the foundation is a little bit more dewy than I prefer. Then the blush is a little bit more dewy. The highlighter is fine because we already come to expect a highlighter to have that radiance to it. But I just don't really care for this as much as I thought. Okay, this next product is just, I'm going to tell you right now, please save your money. Do not even consider buying this. This is just absolutely a disaster start to finish, okay? The HD Twist and Light, also by Makeup Forever. This came out probably summertime. It's a huge component, so it takes up a lot of space. So that's already a negative there. But I can get past that because I keep my products in drawers. Like each drawer is assigned a specific category, so it doesn't really matter to me that much, right? When you open this, you have some setting powders in different tones, and you have a pink that's kind of like a light baby pink color, a light kind of baby blue, and then this one here that almost looks like a light sort of skin tone, kind of like a fleshy tone color that's actually supposed to be, I think, translucent, right? So the component packaging itself, besides being large, is different because you have like this real deep well in the very center. My camera will focus, and there is the product. So what you do here is you sort of twist this bottom part and it releases the powder from these 3 individual compartments in the very center. So you put your brush in there, you tap off your excess. Most likely you will probably work that product into your brush from the cap like most people do with loose products like this, and then you kind of go to town. This is supposed to be something that you use to set your face, a finishing step to your makeup routine, set your concealer. Well, I tried this. The first time I tried it, I had to turn the camera on because I was just literally baffled by the fact that this made my under eye area look like I took light blue, and used that to set my under eye. You know, the light kind of pink is fine because it helps sort of brighten, and then, you know, lots of brands have something like this, like a brightening pink base powder. You find those at Sephora. You can get some at the drugstore. I think e.l.f. has a pink halo powder that you can use as well. So there, you know, there is something to having a pink powder, right? The blue, I think, is way too pigmented, and the actual product is really hard to control how much of each color you're getting. So there's a flaw right there with the packaging. This finish of powder is actually very luminous. Very, very luminous, to the point where I used it a second time as a highlighter. So that gives you an idea, hopefully, of how much shimmer is actually in this product. So there is absolutely no way that someone with oily skin is going to use this to set their foundation, because it's like using a highlighter all over your face. So that's a no. I just can't, I don't understand why. I really can't. And I'm really trying to be as polite about this as I can, because this just completely disappointed me. Like, I think you can tell that right now, right? But the fact that I paid full price for this, when I saw it on the website, I was like, yep, add to cart. I paid full price for this, and I think that product was like $80, $85, something like that, something ridiculous, right? And this is probably close to that $40 mark, right? So I had high hopes, okay? And you can see there, I am very fair, and this powder looks white, okay? There is a subtle kind of blue hint to that. I'm not sure if you're picking that up at all with my camera, but there is a luminosity to this product. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, probably not. Please don't even buy this. Save your money. Up next is another product that just kind of disappointed me. I was trying to sort of go back to 2008, 2009, back when I had a bunch of MAC eyeshadow palettes and I had the little round stickers on the back with all the handwritten names. Who remembers that? Raise your hand, let me know in the comment section if that was you, if you had MAC palettes. I had tons of them, and I used to love going into the MAC store to buy the individual shadows. So when I saw that they came out with the Connecting Color palettes, I took a look at the website and I decided to check this out. I actually ordered mine through Ulta's website. This is the Connecting Color eyeshadow palette. It's a 12 artist curated true nude palette. And I think this is, yes, Unfiltered Nudes is what it's called. So it's the one that looks like this. The packaging is kind of nice. So I will show you what this palette looks like. That is a look at it, and it's pretty true to color. And the formula is not bad at all. I mean, MAC is one of those OG brands. People have loved and raved about MAC for decades at this point. Like, if you haven't heard about MAC eyeshadows, I don't know where you've been, okay? On the back, you have the little circles that tell you the colors. So Satin Taupe is in there, which is definitely one of those old school. It takes me right back to 2009. And Wedge is another one that I really like. So I thought, you know what, this can take me back. Also give me some shades that I don't remember using, and I don't know if these were all colors that existed back then or if they're sort of like newer shades and colors for this type of Connecting Color palette series that they came out with. But I just didn't use it as much as I thought, which is kind of disappointing. And honestly, I just kind of, it doesn't really excite me as much. I don't know. I think MAC had a time back in 2008, 9, and 10, but then it just sort of fizzled out for me personally, and I just don't really, I mean, I have like the MAC Soft and Gentle, and that's one of my very favorite highlighters of all time. I use a Painterly paint pot every single day. So they do make good quality products, but just the eyeshadows, it just didn't excite me as much as I had hoped. You know, I was trying for nostalgia purposes, and it just wasn't that for me. It's not a bad formula. This one was a disappointment for a few reasons, and we'll get into it. It's my Pat McGrath Mothership palette. Yep, let me hear it in the comments. People are probably going to be upset with me. How dare I say that the Mothership palette from Pat McGrath is a disappointment? Well, let me explain, okay? So this palette is actually really beautiful. The packaging feels like a paperweight. Like, this is heavy. It's beautiful. I like the black with that gold accent detail there that has the Pat McGrath logo on it. It has the gold on the back. When you open it up, it feels like a very luxurious experience. So I'm not knocking it. The mirror is actually like a beveled mirror that looks very expensive. Actually, it is expensive. Why? Do you want to know? This is $125. Yep, I will say it again, $125. I have no idea what came over me that day, but I did it. I looked on the website and I tried to find a palette that I could use the most. Colors that really kind of suited me and my preference. Colors that I would reach for. Because for that price point of $125, or even if she has a sale, which she does have them frequently, which it would have been nice to know, okay? You're still spending a lot of money. You're still making a huge investment in the formula. I don't know if it's maybe just this one specifically, which let me tell you, I don't know if I mentioned that. This is the Mothership Divine Rose palette. So let me just show you first, okay? This is what it looks like, okay? Here are the rosy tones. You have a glitter topper. You have a duochrome. You have some kind of peachy, orangey type shades, some kind of muted shades, a bronze. And I have used this quite a bit, and I just, how do I say this? I feel like for me, I'm not a professional makeup artist by any means. Nowhere close to it, okay? I feel like my skills are pretty decent when it comes to applying eyeshadows and with blending, but there's just something about this formula, maybe it's just this Divine Rose palette, that is a little bit difficult. I do notice that my blending with the matte shades tends to have like, it looks like it's kind of skipping when I go to apply it with the same brushes, like my BK Beauty brushes that are really fantastic, I see that it's skipping, it's patchy, it's not blending, and it just disappoints me because this was expensive. And I just don't understand if maybe it's a dud, like I said before, or if that's something to experience with Pat McGrath. I do have her holiday palette from last year, and I don't have that issue so much with some of the mattes in that one. I don't know if it's because it's a different formula than this one, but I just expected more, okay? I don't want to be too mean about it because I am going to use this because I bought it and I've had it this whole year in my collection. I've really tried to make this work, and it just seems, I don't know, it just seems like it's more patchy. Some days it's not so bad and it's fine, and then there's other days where it's really difficult to work with. I was considering trying another one that had more bronze tones, but I don't think I'm ready to commit to that price point again, knowing that my experience with the first one wasn't as great. I'm probably disappointing so many people, and I'm sorry. I just didn't really care for it.
So I included this clip here of the Patrick Ta palette that came out for the holiday last year because I wanted to include it with the disappointing products, because at the end of the day, I was disappointed with the overall look of this palette. I wanted to share with you an up-close shot so you can see what it looked like in case you didn't get this or you missed out on it. I don't feel like the end result was something that I was happy with, so I actually ended up returning this or getting a store credit at Sephora for it because I just knew that I wasn't going to use it very much in my collection. And then of course finding exact dupes in my collection for the lighter pink shades just sort of solidified my reasoning for returning it and trying other products out. But I wanted to include this because I truly was not happy with the overall effect of this palette. And here's a look at the products. I am showing you a clip of the lighter pink colors because the darker shades, like the more magentas, just looked a lot more intense on my skin. I am very fair, but I just don't feel like the color was very flattering on me after a while of trying this out. The glitters were fine, but I just didn't like it. And this is with the old lighting that I used to film with, but now with my new lights, this would look a lot crazier on my skin. I just didn't like the color, and I couldn't justify keeping it for the price point that I paid, which was around, I think, $65. If you want to see more swatches, more dupes that I found in my collection, I will link the video for you to watch. The card section above on the top part of the video will take you to that one that was just dedicated to this palette, so you can see more up-close shots, swatches, and so on. If you're interested, it's there for you.
And that, my friends, is the end of the worst products of 2023. I try to be as gentle with my words as I could and try to just remain respectful for these brands and products. This does not by any means mean that these brands are just absolute no. I have lots of products from all of these brands that I really do enjoy. Products that I have recommended and use. Some products that I still use every single day. I have some favorites from NYX. I love the Cheek Clapper Trio from One Size. I like lots of products from MAC. Makeup Forever makes one of my favorite lip liners. These products specifically just didn't work out for me in the ways that I had hoped. I had spent my money on it, I had been looking forward to it, and they just kind of disappointed me. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if this is your favorite product or your favorite brand, or these are your holy grails, please don't take offense to my opinion. Honestly, this is just my honest opinion of the products. It just didn't work out for me. So I will have everything listed for you down below in case you're interested in taking a look at the product, reading the descriptions of the products to see if it's something that you still would like to try. If you have questions about them, absolutely feel free to reach out to me, and I love hearing from you guys. I will try to do my absolute best to answer your comment as quickly as I can. And if you need product recommendations, or you have recommendations for me to try that you'd like to have me feature in a video, please, by all means, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for being here, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. I post every Tuesday and every Friday, and I have enjoyed posting twice weekly, and I think that's going to be it going forward. I started doing this twice weekly during the summertime, and it's been working out with my schedule here at home. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. We can be friends. We can chat there. I hope to see you there. If not, I hope to catch you in my next video. Take care, you guys, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.